Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Save Room. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at my wrestling figure collection. Now just bear in mind that I haven't actually watched professional wrestling since probably 2003. When they got the F out, so did I. So everything you see today will be all old school stuff, WWF, WCW. With that, let's do it. And no, this video is not sponsored by Savage Size Slim Jim. I just eat these because they taste good. Up here we have some old school Hasbros. Down here we have some Jakks Bone Crunchers. And of all the toys I own, these were by far the figures I played with the most as a kid. It was like the highlight of my life back in the day was, you know, scrounging together $5 and going up to Kmart once a month and getting a new figure to add to the roster. They made so many of these things. I really just tried to focus on my favorite wrestlers. Most of these Bone Crunchers are the original Bone Crunchers, but I do have a few of the kind of new wave Bone Crunchers they made where they basically all use the same body. Like here you can see Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan. It's pretty much the exact same figure with a different head sculpt. And down here we have WCW, mostly Toy Biz. So first off, let's check out these old school Hasbros. Here we have Hulk Hogan, busting out a flex, hulking out. Here's another Hogan with the Gorilla Press Slam action. The Ultimate Warrior with the same. Here we have Jake the Snake Roberts with his Snake Damien. And he's got like this spring-loaded punch action. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase with his $1 Million belt. Andre the Giant, Rowdy Roddy Piper, The Undertaker, Jimmy the Superfly Snuka, Hacksaw Jim Duggan with his 2x4, Ho! Akeem the Not So African Dream, or Conrad Thompson, and finally, Macho Man Randy Savage. And many years later, Mattel would come out with these retro style figures, very much like the old Hasbros. Pretty awesome. Before moving on, I should go back to the beginning and talk about the LJNs. I didn't have very many of these as a kid. They were slightly before my time. I'm much more familiar with the old Hasbros, but I did have a few of them as a kid, and a lot of the older kids, of course, had them. I think the ones I had as a kid were Brutus, Roddy Piper, and Mean Gene Okerlund, which I really, really wish I still had both of those as well. I actually bought this one last year. I saw a decent price on eBay and jumped on it because of just the pure nostalgia. You know, I remember these hot pink pants for sure. Here's a Junkyard Dog that's been through hell and back. These figures were, as you can see, basically just a big block of rubber. You couldn't really do much with them, and the paint would wear off quite quickly because all you could really do with these figures is like slam them together, you know, and pretty soon the paint would wear off and you would just have what appeared to be a naked wrestler. Some years later, in the mid-2000s, Jakks, the maker of the Bone Crunchers, would go on to make a line of LJN-styled wrestlers. I got this one just because I thought it was a good representation of the HBK character. So you may remember these guys. Very interesting idea, to say the least. These were the Maximum Sweat figures. And the idea was that you would put water into a little hole in their back and it would slowly seep out of their bodies like sweat. Because why not? Wrestlers are sweaty, I guess. And there you go. Alright, well, let's fill this guy up with water and see it work its magic. Yeah, sure, that looks like sweat. He's definitely sweating or pissing himself. Since the Jakks Bone Crunchers are the bulk of my wrestling figure collection, I decided to go ahead and move on to the WCW figures since I don't have nearly as many of them. So these guys were made by Toy Biz, who also made a couple other of my favorite toy lines as a kid, like the original Resident Evil figures, a lot of the 90s Marvel. Here we have Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's got a spray paint can. He's got his weightlifting belt on. Hollywood. Love the graphics on his pants. It's got that nice like airbrush look. I do wish I had the other version where he's much darker, which was a lot more accurate to how he was in real life. He had a super dark tan during this period. Here we have the Macho Man. Pretty awesome figure. Oh yeah! Here we have the Outsiders in Ashen Hall. Next we have the Giant. Pretty cool. Which in turn brings us to Rey Mysterio, who was kind of like a little bonus figure. It's kind of strange. He's got like hard plastic legs, but then the rest of his body is rubber. And he's basically made as like a victim for whoever wrestler he's packaged with. So these figures right here were made by the original San Francisco toy makers, and no, this is not some kind of tumor or cyst. This is actually a button that you would press if it had batteries that worked in it. This figure would vibrate because, you know, why not? This is one of those ideas that's kind of like the Maximum Sweat, you know, it's just like a bizarre idea for a figure, but I do appreciate the belt. I picked up this Kane doll a few years back just because I was never really satisfied with his old Bone Cruncher. Overall, it's pretty cool. His costume fits him well. You can see like muscle definition. I feel like that doll did a better job at portraying Kane's character, so I was content with that figure for a long time. And then recently Mattel put out a Ultimate Kane figure. Amazing. He comes with his cape that he debuted in, his actual debut that wasn't televised. He comes with his electro-larynx. He also has an alternate head with his hair straight down, and then he has another head with his hair swept back. Awesome figure. And finally, we get to the Bone Crunchers, which for the most part, they couldn't stand worth shit, which is why you got these little stands that no one ever used. A lot of people just used them as steel chairs. All right, so I'm just gonna run through these real quick. We have Psycho Sid, aka Sid Vicious. We have Jerry the King Lawler with his crown. Right here is one of my favorite Bone Crunchers of all time, Shawn Michaels, HBK with the red. Here's HBK with the white, and this one actually has his tattoo. Vintage Undertaker. I'm missing his hat, unfortunately. Another one of my favorites, Bret the Hitman Hart. Mankind with the removable mask, as well as Sacco. And here's another Bret Hart with his alternate attire. Gold Dust. This wig's coming off. Unfortunately, this is a slammer. These were like kind of weird hybrid Bone Crunchers where like their legs would be rubber and they would have the bone crunching effect, but then up top would be all plastic, and then they would do some bullshit move. Here is Vader, along with a Mastodon helmet I bought separately. Dude Love. This is also a slammer. Ahmed Johnson. China. Ready to low blow with either hand. And here is Diesel, one of the more rare Bone Crunchers, along with Razor Ramon. The two left the company to go to WCW right as these figures were coming out, or right after. And unfortunately, being a Series 1 figure, you can see how loose his arm is. And here is Kane, the double-sleeved version. Here we have Animal and Hawk, the Road Warriors, aka the Legion of Doom. These guys are really cool. I was really fortunate to find a decent price on these two on eBay. They're basically in mint condition. You know, their face paint's still there. All their spikes are still intact, so I was really happy with that. Love these guys. Here we have Yokozuna. The red is really hard to find. You know, usually you can only find the one with the white tights. But this is the classic red tights Yokozuna. What can you say? Here we have the boss man himself, Vince McMahon. What? The Rock. And this belt actually came with that Ultimate cane back there. I just thought it fit The Rock pretty good, so there you go. And here we have another one of the more rare bone crunchers, the Ultimate Warrior. I absolutely love this figure, but unfortunately, as it was a Series 1 figure, you know, just look at that loosey-goosey. Loosey-goosey.
Look inside yourself, and you will find there is no power like the Ultimate Warrior.
I remember even as a kid being disappointed with the original Stone Cold Bone Cruncher. His head sculpt just looked like he was weeping, like he was just really sad. So I ended up going with the newer Bone Cruncher and also kind of decked him out, customized him a little bit. This is a Elite Mattel vest that I bought separately, along with a Elite Mattel Winged Eagle belt. And that was another feature with these new wave Bone Crunchers, is that they had this neck snapping feature. Eventually, I would like to get a Smoking Skull belt to just kind of like complete my ultimate Stone Cold Bone Cruncher, and then pass this off to Bret. Whenever I think of the Winged Eagle belt, it's impossible to not think of Bret Hart, simply because he treated this belt with so much respect. Here we have Chris Benoit, and this is my favorite attire that he ever wore. His red pants with the black claw marks, the rabid Wolverine, toothless aggression. Chris Benoit is probably the rarest figure I have, just because it's incredibly hard just to find a picture of this guy on the internet. The main reason why I got these new wave Bone Crunchers is because it just included a lot of wrestlers that never had a Bone Cruncher version. For instance, like Chris Benoit. They also made Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar, and this guy right here, Hulk Hogan. As you can see, the new wave Bone Crunchers were slightly taller than the original Bone Crunchers. You know, as much as I wish that they would have just made like a classic Hogan, it's still nice to have a Bone Cruncher version. I almost forgot these two, Triple H and X-Pac. And lastly, we have Andre the Giant, which is not a Bone Cruncher, but I kind of include him with the Bone Crunchers anyways, just because he fits so well scale-wise with the wrestlers, and he's fucking awesome. I mean, look at this dude. Monster. Now, this one's a bit random, but we have a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat Bloody variant figure from the Legends of Professional Wrestling line. I was a huge Steamboat fan growing up, so when I saw this in a comic book shop for like $5, I just saw this dude hanging on the wall, and I was like, is that Ricky? Why is he covered in so much blood? And then I just thought, to hell with it, he's $5, you know? At this point, I might as well bring out my lone ECW figure, Sabu. Oh my god! And finally, we have these wrestling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a hint as to what my next video will be about. But we have Mikey as Roddy Piper, Raph as The Rock, and Donnie as the Ultimate Warrior. Pretty interesting. I actually put a good amount of detail on these. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection. And with that, stay safe out there.
What? What?